my name is Axel, and this time I'm with Victor. Victor, tell me, who are you?
Hello, man. How are you doing? Oh, like I'm a Jiu-Jitsu fighter. I'm an engineer, like professionally, and my biggest passion is learning. Learning, interesting. What I'm interested in the moment. Yeah, like for example, there's this. I lived in Dubai for 5 years, and I've learned how to speak Arabic there by myself, and I've created one technique that you learn a language faster.
Can you share the technique? It sounds very intriguing. That's like the first thing that you kicked off with. So can you like tell the secret?
Yeah, of course, man. It's simple. Like whenever you're learning a language, you just select strategically the words you need to learn for you to get better, like as quick as possible. For example, like you don't need to learn the word. Let me see. Let me give you an example. Neighborhood, for example. You don't need to learn the word neighborhood to speak like almost perfectly English, for example. But you need to know the words like the main verbs like to have, to want. So you select the main words to learn, and then you put the vocabulary. You put the vocabulary in something that you already have in your environment. For example, if you are an engineer, you have like a lot of different objects in your office or something. So you're gonna study the names of these objects with these main verbs and main words that makes you develop your English like fast. It's not about to get fluent, but it's to from zero to intermediary. It's very interesting.
So they're kind of breaking the mold at the beginning, you're saying. Okay. How did you discover that?
Oh,
Like,
because I went to Bali once with my friend, and I met one French girl that I fell in love there for her. But I don't speak French. I don't speak French at the time, and she doesn't speak English. We just liked each other by the energy, and we had a group together, a lot of people. So I had to figure out a way of speaking French very fast, and I like languages a lot. I was already studying Arabic, so I had to come up with this thing in order to be able to speak to like to communicate with her. Not very well, but like very fast. You can communicate with a person, learning these main words, these most important words. That's how this thing I came up with. Yeah.
you mentioned that you're an engineer. Can you talk about that more?
Yeah, I'm an engineer because since ever I really liked studying mathematics, physics, and I went to the engineering school here in Brazil. Um, I got to do the masters here. The government was paying me to study. Yeah, that's basically that's my passion. That's my passion. That's my profession. I always studied that. But after the masters, I got a little bit bored of my life, and I went to Dubai because I've always studied engineering, and I was in the sports of jiu-jitsu, always competing and doing my things in jiu-jitsu. And I had the chance to go to Dubai, and I went to Dubai. I was 27 years old. I didn't think really. I just went there.
But how did you discover engineering, right? Like for some people, it's like very tough. You said you're an athlete. Were you able to, at points, like combine the studies with the sport and so on?
Yeah, I discovered because I was 18 years old, and I had this girlfriend, and she was studying to become like. So I don't remember actually. I think she wanted to study engineering also. She didn't want it, but her father wanted her to study engineer. That was the story. And then her father told me, "Oh, why don't you go and take a look and go for a high school in engineering, kind of. I don't know how to say this in English actually." And I went to this high school, this technical high school that you study more or less engineering, and I loved it. I really loved it because it's very easy, It's not like understanding people, for example, which is full of variables. Engineering and
Pretty
mathematics is
straight.
like, it's very easy. Yeah, very straightforward. Yeah, exactly. So I fell in love when I was 18 years old, started studying, And then I went to this technical high school. Then I went to the college. Then I went to the masters. That was basically it.
Your love for Jiu-Jitsu, how do you discover it? What have you been doing in that sport? Tell me more about it.
Oh yeah, this is from my father. My he was a boxer. He's a policeman. Was from special forces of the army here in Brazil, and he's always this tough guy. And I wanted to, to impress him as a kid, and I wanted to train some kind of sports. I was very young. I watched these movies of fighting, and I went to do some sports. And in Rio de Janeiro, Jiu-Jitsu is very big. Like football in Brazil, and for fighting is Jiu-Jitsu in Brazil. So I went to this Jiu-Jitsu gym. It was in the beginning of Jiu-Jitsu. The world doesn't know about it that much yet. And yeah, that was the option I had, and I fell in love also because it's like a chess. Jiu-Jitsu is like a chess with your body. It's very if you're a guy who likes mathematics, physics, who likes to think like strategically, you should train Jiu-Jitsu. It's very cool. So I fell in love with Jiu-Jitsu all my life. Can't stop right now.
Tell me more
That's the
about like
story of
the
Jiu-Jitsu.
life lessons that you have gotten out of Jiu-Jitsu.
Oh, the life lessons is humbling. Like you have to be humble because the you know no matter how big you are, if you're beginning jiu-jitsu, the smaller guy is gonna beat your ass. Like you go to the jiu-jitsu, even though you can be big, but if there's one experienced small guy there, he's gonna beat your ass. So it's like you can't be arrogant. You have to be humble because you're gonna get your ass whooped every time you go to the training. Even when you're a black belt, that happens. That's the biggest lesson. Like it's like simulate life, simulate life. You get hard times. You have to control your emotions when somebody's smashing you. You have to also control your emotions when you're smashing somebody else. So you have to control your emotions. It's like a simulation of life, I think.
Any points where you were like a bit frustrated about the sport, perhaps because you said like it's a bit humbling, but were there any frustration at the beginning that like, oh man, this is not easy, or it's like challenging? Were there any points like that?
Yeah, there was, but related to the government of Brazil, because in the government of Brazil is very corrupted, and they don't help you that much. They don't help the athletes that much. The athlete he has to work and to pay his competitions. He doesn't have this option to be only one athlete. It's very rare. This thing pissed me off so much, but it was kind of understandable at the time because jiu-jitsu was a sport in the beginning. It was in the beginning of jiu-jitsu yet. So you kind of understand this. But that's the thing that irritates me the most in here. It's about the government and this corruption and lots of kids here. For example, like I don't know if people from outside Brazil know this, but this Brazilian team, the national team of football, it could be 100 times better than it is. It's just because of politics. They don't get to take people from favela, for example. We have so many guys that are very good in football. I'm horrible in football, by the way. I don't like football at all. But like, if you go to the favelas, these guys, they play like professionals. They're so good, but they don't go to the national team. They don't even go to a normal team here to play because it's politics. They don't have money, like it's politics. I think the national team of Brazil could be 100 times better, but because of the corruption that I explained to you in jiu-jitsu and also in football, because of this, that doesn't happen. That don't happen.
Give me an example. Like you try to do this, and then the block is over here like that. Like what happens? Like what are the counters like that? Like what is going on?
Yeah, like when I was 21 or 20 years old, and I wanted to be only competing in jiu-jitsu, but I couldn't because you know you have to make money, and you cannot. It's very difficult at the time to get what's the name? It's not a scholarship to get a support from companies to pay
Sponsorship?
you like yeah like what? Sorry, say it again.
Like a sponsorship?
Yeah, like a sponsorship. It's very difficult at the time to get a sponsorship. And football's the same. Do you know Ronaldo? Football, Ronaldo. So this guy faced the same thing in the beginning. He was like the best footballer in the world, but even though he got rejected many times for many teams here in Brazil because of politics. Can you imagine that? The guy was the best. He turned out to be the best in the world, but because of corruption and politics in the football, he got rejected many times. It's crazy.
How do you feel like if you had to like see it from their side of perspective, what do you think are their kind of main goals or initiatives? Why are they putting up these obstacles in their way for everybody? Like jiu-jitsu, football, so on, sports in general. Why do you feel it's like that?
What I feel, what was the reason?
Yeah, kind of.
I
What
actually,
do you think they are trying to achieve with this? Like, what are they trying to put as a priority instead of that the sports?
yeah, the priority is not doing anything well. I don't know. It's very selfish kind of politics. It's like it's the country where the politics are very rich and they're selfish and they want to accumulate the money and they don't care about anything else. That's it. That's it. It's about culture also. It, it's a lot of things. I don't even know how to answer that. It's a lot of bad things combined.
You feel like that there's a lack of interest of developing the culture, sports, stuff like that. Because like I feel like Brazil is not only like Brazil most famously is known for football, I would say in the world globally. But I feel like you see the carnivals and all that. I think Brazil has a very rich culture itself, aside from sports, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of sad to hear that about that. So yeah, maybe we can like smoothly jump into it. Like, why did you went to Dubai? How did you saw the opportunity, and what did you did there?
Oh, I taught the Dubai army how to fight without gun without weapons. Like self defense and grappling basically. That's what I went there for. I went there to train the students, to train the army there. They in Dubai they were investing a lot of money in Jiu-Jitsu because Jiu-Jitsu turned out to be like the best martial art in the world, kind of. It's booming, it's growing a lot. If you think of Jiu-Jitsu as a company, it would be like the Amazon company of the or Tesla or something big like this. It would be this kind of thing in the world, like Europe. You probably heard of it. There's probably one gym like kind of close to you. I don't know, and it started here. It started here in Brazil. I went there to train the army for that.
Can you talk about the specifics of jiu-jitsu, like why it's so good and popular, as you mentioned?
It's so good and popular because of this Gracie family. They created this Rorion Gracie. He created the UFC. Have you heard of UFC? This billionaire company,
Sure.
which people are fighting for money. Yeah. So he started this company, and whenever he started this company, no one knows about jiu-jitsu. No one in the world knows how to fight in jiu-jitsu style. Only this Gracie family and a couple of Brazilians here in Brazil. So these guys, they started this company, this UFC company, and they wanted to put jiu-jitsu against karate, jiu-jitsu against boxing, jiu-jitsu against wrestling. They wanted to prove to the world that jiu-jitsu was the best martial art in one-on-one fight. That's what they did. And they put one guy from the Gracie family, was a skinny guy, 73, 75 kilos. His name is Royce Gracie, and they put this guy to compete there, and he won every fight against guys with 110, 120 kilos
Heavyweights.
from different
Right.
sports. From yeah, so they proved, they proved in practice, in like live, that jiu-jitsu was a very, very big thing. So whenever the Americans, it wasn't United States. Sorry, I forgot to tell you. It was in the United States. Whenever that happens, the Americans, they got crazy because they were watching 175 kilos guys beating 110 kilos wrestlers. So it was very impressive in the beginning because no one knew jiu-jitsu, and whenever you start grappling, it's almost impossible. If you start grappling if you don't know anything about grappling or anything about jiu-jitsu, start grappling one guy, even though he's smaller than you, you're gonna get your ass whooped. So because of this the beginning of the UFC, jiu-jitsu, exploded in the world. It got so famous. And then this guy sold this company like $1 million, and now it's worth more than $1 billion. That's crazy, right?
Right.
That's how jiu-jitsu exploded in the world. From US, and this Brazilian family went there. They fought people from other sports. They proved that jiu-jitsu would beat every other martial art, and it exploded in US. And if it explodes in US, it's gonna explode in like everywhere else, right?
Tell me more about jujitsu. Like, what are the technicalities that you kind of have fell in love with it, or because you said you're open to knowledge, you're a knowledge seeker. So I bet that you're exploring and understanding other, fighting techniques and things of that nature as well. So tell me more about like what is the stuff that makes jujitsu more supreme, like some techniques or something like that.
You know what I like? The jiu-jitsu makes superior is the leverage. Is whenever you're using the leverage, you have more energy. You apply more energy in one certain point. Like, for example, if when you have to when you have, I don't know how to say this in English. Sorry, it's the car. You have the wheel of the car. Let's try to say this in English. You have the wheel of the car, and you have to whenever your tire is flat, and you have to take the wheel off of it. Sometimes it's very hard to do with the tool. I don't know the name of that tool. Do
Right.
you know this?
Let's put it like that.
And
Cool.
you use sorry, man. You use the leverage to do this. What's the leverage? You put something to get more length, to get bigger. So you're the same person. You have the same strength. You're not getting stronger, but now with the leverage, you are able to unlock the screw of the wheel. It's very hard sometimes because you don't have leverage. You have just a small tool in here, and then you combine another tool to get it like longer, and then you have now leverage to move it, although you have the same strength, but you're applying more energy because strength times the length, it's gonna be the energy, right? Jiu-jitsu is all about leverage like this. It's like using your strength in the best way possible and with the most energy possible. So even though you can be like smaller or weaker than the other guy, but if you know how to use the leverage, you're going to take advantage of this, and you're going to have the enough energy applied in points to win the fight. That's basically. I think it was a very, very mathematical explanation, but yeah, I think it is. This is the jiu-jitsu thing. You know what I love, man? I love this philosophical part of jiu-jitsu. Whenever you're choking somebody, and he's tapping, whenever the person taps, it means like he's telling you, like, I would have died. That's what he's telling you. You would have killed me. So please stop. Let's start again. I love this because you can actually fight 100%, and almost kill somebody. Of course, it's a sport. We're not mean, you know, we're not killing anybody. But whenever you're choking somebody and this person's tapping, it's like giving up of the fight. Philosophically, he's telling you, like, you would have killed me. Let's just stop. Let's start it again. So I love this moment in jiu-jitsu. Not when I'm getting choked though. Whenever I'm choking
But that part kind of
somebody else.
humbles you on the other hand, right?
That's that. Yeah, exactly. You have to assume it. Oh, sorry, man. You would have killed me. Tap, tap, tap. So you gotta be humble.
Right. Tell me more about the experience in Dubai and how you got to that position.
I got to the position because I was a good fighter and I speak good English comparing to Brazilians, and that's it. I applied. I did well in everything. Went there. That's it. That's basically. I was a very good fighter, and I also can speak English, which is something kind of rare here in Brazil. It's not very easy to see this. And that's it. And there I had some crazy experiences, man. I went to this island close to Iran. You know, it's in between Iran and United Arab Emirates. I went to this island only with the army. I was the only foreign in there, and everybody else were locals from Abu Dhabi, Dubai, from United Arab Emirates. I went to with the army with that small airplane that opens the door from behind. You know this airplane. I went there. I stayed 2 weeks. There's no shops. You can't buy anything. You can't eat. You can't choose your food. You have to eat the Arabic army food. So it was a very crazy experience. There's no Wi-Fi. There's nothing. Imagine living today without our phones, without our smartphones, without Wi-Fi, without anything else, without people of your culture, without your language. Only everybody speaks Arabic. No one speaks English. So I I went to this island, um, and I stayed 2 weeks there to teach the army there how to fight also. And also this island could be taken by at any time by Iran. It could, you know, a war could happen at any time. So it was a crazy experience. I lived there, one of them.
Was that some kind of a detox for you as well? Because, like as you said, no phones, no nothing, no no extras. Was that kind of a detox for you?
100%. 100% it was. At the time I needed this. I think the universe is like, you know, putting the things that I need to do at the right time. At the time I was breaking up. I was breaking up with a girl I liked so much. I lived together, and I really needed this time with myself to understand what I want, to understand what I need to do. So that was really interesting for me because I had to stay with myself. It's like today is very hard for us to stay with ourselves. We are always with, like, on the Instagram or like watching TikTok or whatever. We're on Facebook or talking to somebody. We have these smartphones all the time, you know, with the internet. And whenever you don't have this, it is actually very good for you. It's a detox time, exactly. Yeah, it's actually very good. I felt really happy uh, after this time I spent there. Although I don't want to go back, but it was really important. It was really good. It make me think and sort out my stuff at the time.
You touched the subject of like social media, Instagram and so on. Uh, can you talk about some of the issues, perhaps? What is that creating for? Do you have an opinion on that? Like, what are the issues? Like people are seeing fake pictures. Other people are having like some of the, discouraged about people and then feel like they're not worthy of enough, so on. Do you have an opinion on that kind of a subject?
Yeah, I do. Of course, you have to understand what's happening and how it was built. Like, for example, Instagram and TikTok, and this this social media is they're built to be like to be easy and to be like there's something related to laziness in this thing, which is like you're on Instagram, you don't need to think of anything. You don't need to understand it. You're just like this. You're just swiping and watching, and then you see like 1 or 2 hours passed. It's something related to laziness and addiction. Laziness and addiction. So we gotta, like it's cool to have an Instagram account. It's cool to talk to people. It's very useful for some things, yeah. But it's kind of dangerous, right? It's addictive. It's like a drug, and they built it this way. It's not that it is addictive, because they didn't want they want it to be addictive. It is the people who made this. They want it to be like this. So you have to be aware of what you're doing, what you're consuming. Study a little bit more. I think that's my advice. Study a little bit more about social media because it's big time present in our lives. And maybe you're killing 7-8 hours not doing anything interesting every day looking at this. So it's kind of dangerous, right?
Right. I want to ask you additional question about this as well, because sometimes, well, not sometimes, but nowadays, I feel like there's almost a generation that hasn't even got a glimpse of experience without that. That's all they know, Instagram. Any suggestions, solutions towards them, perhaps? What would you say?
Yeah, these kids I don't know. Yeah, this new generation, right? I think it should start from the parents by explaining, and now should be they can understand. They can, they just need to study how and why and for what is the social media. So they're safe if they know what's behind social media and what is it for and how to use it and how to take advantage of it. So it's gonna be okay, right? It's gonna be okay because there's no other way, man. We are cyborgs already, like Elon Musk says. Like we're cyborgs. We have one computer, like 100% of the time with us. You don't go like for me, for example, I don't go to the toilet without my cell phone. That's how addictive this is. We're not gonna get rid of the computers. It's gonna be like the fourth layer of our brain. For example, in our brain we have these three layers: the new cortex and these two other parts. The fourth part is gonna be the computer. That's it. That's what I think. You just have to understand how to use it, how to take advantage of it, because it can be really really good too, really interesting. Like for example, what you're doing, something nice. You're taking and going around the world. Like you don't need to move physically. You just have to connect with people. Just send you a message to show to the world somebody else's story in order to inspire other people. That's beautiful, man. That's beautiful. And because of this computer, because of the AI, because of engineering, because of technology, you're doing this. Imagine if we don't have these things, you couldn't do what you're doing in the scale you're doing. You would have to talk to people which are close to you only physically. So
Okay,
you're doing well.
right. I want to ask you about you though. What would you say are your future goals? What do you want to achieve? Like, how do you see your future? Do you have like any particular goals that you want to achieve?
Yeah, my main goal now is to teach English to the Brazilians who don't have money. That's my main goal now. I want to I'm about to launch a course in English, which is gonna be cheap, and I want to help out people from Brazil that they don't have money to pay for expensive course. I want to help out for them to learn, and because all the knowledge in the world is in English. And if you speak only this Portuguese, you're not gonna get a piece of it. So I want to change this, and I want to put these people in like closer to the to the flow of knowledge in the world. That's what I want, you know. I think it transformed, I'm really sure, I don't think actually, it's transformed my life. Whenever I started studying English, my life changed so much. I grew so much as a human being, as a person. And I want this transformation for people. And I understand that there's many people that they cannot afford this transformation. And I want to help out. That's it.
How do
I
you
give back.
feel? Will that be an easy challenge, or do you feel there will be a lot of resistance towards you? Like, because sometimes people are, resistant towards new things.
It's not. I don't think it's gonna be easy. I know how to. I know my technique. I know how to teach, but it's not gonna be easy because you have to reach lots of people, and in order to reach lots of people, most of the times you have to pay for that, right? And whenever you're launching a course that you don't want it for like, you don't want it to be very expensive for people. You want people to afford it, and you have to spend money to reach people. So it's kind of, you know, one thing goes against the other a little bit. But I don't think it's going to be very easy, but for sure, yeah, I'll figure it out. Yeah, it's not going to be easy because of the money thing.
How would you suggest, like, how to set goals and realize them? Like, what is your recipe towards that?
My goals, I put my goals in some things I want to learn, I want to be. I look at myself at the future, and I see myself in the future, and I visualize, oh, I want to be this, and that, and that's what I'm gonna do. Like right now, I'm gonna study this. For example, my three main things right now, it's like this English course thing I've just explained to you, learning software engineering, coding, because it's the next thing in the world. Or actually, it's happening right now. Everything's like growing so fast in software engineering, and always train jiu-jitsu, always training jiu-jitsu. That's what I want to do. Oh, here,
Oh, okay.
the three things I'm doing. It's written here, and this is one class I was trying out from the books I've learned about how to learn faster anything.
Immediate reminder for you when you wake up, go to your mirror, right, and you kind of see your goals and never forget them, right? That's how you work.
Yeah.
That's kind of your recipe to setting goals and achieving them, right? I see. What would you say right now at this point, before you have achieved these things right now? What are your biggest achievements?
Oh, my biggest achievements? Oh, let me think. Oh, I made some money there, but it's not very, it's normal. I made money, and I've gathered so much experience because I've traveled like maybe 15 countries. Went to a lot of places by myself. So I've gathered a lot of experiences. I've been with a lot of people. I've made different friends from everywhere. Whenever I go to a new country, a new culture, I dive in the country, in the culture. And I learn the language of the country. I put myself, I empty myself to fulfill myself with whatever the culture of the place I am. So I've gathered a lot of experience, knowledge, and networking with the. I made some good friends, man. My best friend is not from Brazil. Like my best friend, he lives in Spain, for example.
Would you say right now at this point, what have you achieved and what have you done at this point? Are you satisfied with all that?
No, no, of course no. Never, never satisfied. I want more. I
Right.
want more.
That's the type of attitude that I wanted to hear. Never stop.
Yeah, no. I
Uh,
don't think it's not even the beginning.
all right. What would you say that is the most important thing? The most important thing in life. Take it as it is. Could be a spiritual thing. It could be some sort of a physical thing. Uh, from your perspective, what do you think is the most important thing in life?
For me, the most important thing is In what? In growing your personality, or like
in life
family
in general?
wise, or for a human being? I think it's combining these three things, which is your emotions, your cognition, your cognitive part, and your spiritual part. You have to combine these three things in harmony. So you can't be stupid if you combine these three things. You can't be a bad person. It's very, very difficult. If you combine this spiritual part, if you get your spiritual side sorted out, your emotions sorted out, and your cognition sorted out, like if you're developing these three things and these three things are in harmony, I think this is the main thing in the world. So, and like the emotions, uh, it gives you the chance to have a better, to be a better decision maker. Yeah, it's all about decisions.
Unfortunately, I don't think you will be able to understand the interview that I have with one artist. It's a singer from one group over here in my own language. But we talked about harmony, and the thing that we touched was the definition of harmony. What does it mean for everybody? You know, and I want to ask you the same question, kind of, and touch that subject because you said harmony. I think it's different for everybody. Like, what does it mean to be harmony? Is it balance between things, or is it like something else? Uh, Tell me, what does it mean, harmony, for you?
For me, harmony is when you have more than one thing. Of course, you can be in harmony with one thing only, more than one thing. Imagine two things that are working together, and these two things are not going against the others. You're adding up to the others. This is harmony for me. This is the flow of one, of more than two, three things working together, combined, and everything is in the right place, and everything is helping the other. This is harmony for me. The harmony is, in mathematics, I would say harmony, if you have two things, would be like 1 plus 1 equals more than 2. This is harmony for me. Like two things working together, three things working together, and this creates another thing, right? Because they're all working together and they're all like helping each other. So 1, 2, it's not gonna be equals 3. It's not gonna be equals 2. It's gonna be equal more than 2.
If you would say, who is your greatest teacher? Is it, whether it would be a person or would it be a experience? Who would you say has been your biggest teacher, greatest teacher?
My greatest teacher, let me see. The silence, my reflections, my father who created some strategic hard moments for me to grow stronger. That would be my greatest teachers. And everybody that I encounter, I have, my mindset is like this. Everybody's my master. Everybody's my master. There's no dumb enough people who cannot teach you anything, or smart enough guy who can't learn anything. So everybody's my master. I'm learning from everybody.
Since you're open to knowledge so much, if you had the opportunity to ask a question or have a conversation with someone that you haven't had yet, who would you pick the opportunity if you had the opportunity right now?
Elon Musk.
All right. And how
Yeah,
would you think that conversation would go? What would you ask him?
I would talk about AI. I would talk about software engineering with him, and this fourth layer of the brain, which is the computer. That's what I would talk about for, and I would ask him how he can be so productive and run like 4 companies at once, because it sounds like his day has more than 24 hours.
Right, right, right. It's something interesting that I remember. Tim Grover said it's a challenge. Tim Grover, who was the coach, trainer, physical trainer for Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, Wayne Wade. Like he said, like, oh yeah, everybody says like you have 24 hours, and everybody's like, oh, I'm gonna pick this up, I'm gonna do this and this and this. But he said like, okay, you can pick up this, right? But like you got to understand that you have to put something down instead because you have only 24 hours. So
Yeah.
that's an interesting subject for on that side, how he manages time management, maybe, but if you had the opportunity to, for example, let's say even more advanced, this hasn't been discovered yet or seems so, time travel. If you had the opportunity to time travel and meet yourself at a certain point, to which point would you choose to go, and what would you do?
I would definitely go to the future because I'm black. So if I go to the past, I'm gonna get fucked. Sorry. I'm 100% going to the future.
All right. And what would you gain there? How do you feel like what would be the experience like?
Oh man. Um, in the future, I think maybe in the future. Let me think a little bit. How far? Like 100 years after now? From now on? Maybe I think we're gonna be living with in the best case scenario, we're gonna be living in harmony with the machines, with the AI. We would have some computers that are smart enough to do the things by themselves. They would have their own community, and the best case scenario, they they would respect us, we would respect them, and we would live in harmony. That's the best case scenario. I don't think that would happen, but I'm trying to be positive. I think we're gonna have more AI. The jobs are gonna like the jobs. We're gonna have less people in the world because of these pandemics I think, yeah, I think the population would crash, and yeah, that's it. And computer would be much more developed and smart. That's it.
Let's perhaps switch roles right now. Do you have a question for me, perhaps?
Yeah. Why are you doing this? What made you start doing this? What you're doing right now, like trying to inspire people by other people's stories,
Well, in the
and what's your
beginning,
goal
I
with that?
started to do this. It was in 2016, like right at the beginning of the year. Back then, I was at that point living in Tampa Bay, in the United States, and I was like religiously working out from Monday to Saturday, and Sundays were like completely off, like nothing to do, boring, boring. And yeah, and then what kind of gave me is extra inspiration or extra entertainment at that point as well were some interviews that I saw, and then I understood that I have a very special, luxurious opportunity to have some people around me record. And so what I did at the beginning, I was just taking my phone, smartphone, and I put it like this on the table and recorded the interview
Yeah,
with some people. And those interviews can be found still. And yeah, then I moved back to my home country. And unfortunately, I had like some issues with health. Studies came along, other issues came along, and I had put that project basically on the hold. And now when this arrived, haven't actually, I kind of had the potential to pick it up, but I never actually did it. And so this year, I was around my birthday, I made a list of things that I want to do. And then one of those things was doing the interviews. So um, within that month, same month, I started to reach out the first, like I made a list of people that I want to interview. So I had the first list, and yeah, and then I went from there, and the snowball effect, so to say. Like I started to introduce and invite more people, and the people were giving me more snowballs. Like, you're actually a snowball, because like this interview was recommended from someone else. So and I feel that there's a value in that. And one of my biggest inspirations, and if you would ask me the question of who's my biggest teacher, and one of my biggest teachers definitely was Kobe Bryant, and he has a movie that starts um, there's a power in understanding someone's journey that helps create your own. And I feel those are golden words, true words, and I try to live by that. And so that's basically the main uh, my snowball that's rolling with these interviews and the message that I want to carry with them. And I call them "I am the one" because it's like I try to not interrupt my guests, just give them the floor and hear their own experiences, not from sort of some sort of angle or cut down or misinterpreted. I think so. Basically, that's the big thing and big idea holistically for that.
That's very interesting, man. That's very interesting. And what's your goal with this? You want to learn by yourself. You want to learn from other people. You want to inspire people. What is it? What is it you want to achieve with your channel, with your interviews?
Yeah, well, I feel like to put it easy, kind of digestible. Basically, I want to introduce all sorts of people, and in a simple way, let's say I want to introduce athletes to artists and artists to athletes, so to say they understand like vice versa what's in their minds, or scientists
Yeah.
to I don't know Instagram influencers or vice versa, so that people see what's in their mind, what how do they think, how do they operate, what have been their experiences, what have led that led them through their lives. So um, that's something I think holds a value.
Of course, yeah, of course. It's like whenever it's the same thing you feel when you travel to a place you don't know. It's whenever you talk to somebody who is very different than yourself. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, man. That is very, very cool of you. Very cool. Like, yeah, for example, if I have the chance to talk to, let me see, one astronaut. I never had a friend who's been to the space, for example. I
Right.
would ask him a lot of questions, right? It would be very cool if I get to know somebody like this. Yeah, that's very good. What you're doing. Yeah, introducing people. Uh, they're very different from each other. Yeah, yeah, cool.
All right, Victor, do you have, for example, any words of encouragement for everybody else, sort of say, to wrap this interview?
Yeah, man. If you want to change your life, if you want to get better at something, there's no other way than knowledge in and experience, which is related to each other, right? And understand about yourself, understand you as a human, understand you have five senses, understand your emotions, understand yourself, and gather knowledge and experiences. If you're young, right? If you're young, do this. Even if you're old, do this. Do this. It's gonna take you somewhere better than what you're visualizing and thinking right now. That's my message.
All right, thank you for those words. All the best to you. Good luck and then success. Most importantly, with your projects, with your courses, uh, and I wish you all the best, man. Like, thank you for your time. It was a pleasure to talk to you.
It was a pleasure too, man. Very nice to meet you, man. You're a very cool guy.
Thank you for watching this interview with Victor. I actually love talking to Victor, and it was a very big pleasure for me to talk to him about Jiu Jitsu, about his mindset, and all the knowledge that he has. Also, I would invite you to watch an interview with Sandra Gasparini because actually Victor is a snowball from Sandra Gasparini. On the screen, you can now see the suggested interview from Sandra Gasparini and also some other playlists and videos that you could watch from my channel. I hope you enjoyed this interview and all the best to you.